Welcome to Toke, and there's the thoughts of a king. And today I will continue with this migration that I had from one way of thinking to something else. I, after leaving Fayetteville and coming back, and of course, I, I, I continued to listen to Limbaugh some. Oh, I would argue in my mind. Oh man, he's full of crap on that. That fool would. Sorry, Lord, I don't mean to call anybody a fool, but at that time, that's what I thought he was. Still, even though he was right about some stuff, I still would argue with him uh, on whatever he would tend to come up with. And then I heard that, oh, Limbaugh's supposed to be, that's when I heard that he was a racist once I got back. Folks said, oh, how could you listen to him? He's a racist. But, I never heard him say anything racist. But they, that's, oh, by the way, all those folks that said he was a racist, none of them ever really listened to him, but somehow they knew he was a racist. There's a theme behind that. You'll notice that a lot of people saying somebody is a racist, they will make stuff. That the term is there's some sort of dog whistle, and I get tickled when I hear the dog whistle comment, because the only people that hear this dog whistle are people that tend to be liberal. Every conservative I know, that's like, hey, did you hear the dog whistle? No, I didn't hear the dog whistle. What dog whistle? Well, the liberal folks, they said that there's some sort of dog whistle. Really? Oh well, maybe we need to work on our hearing or something. But they hear all these dog whistles, but we don't. I can say that way now because yes, I'm now very conservative in my thinking, or found out that I actually always was. It's just there are some of the things that people that I used to trust, my authorities, that were actually doing things that were counter to what I actually believed. So I ended up retiring from the Department of Defense. Took an early retirement. I wasn't even in my 50s yet, and I could save the job. I literally saved the job of that dude I was talking about from East Texas, the one that with the picture would be racist, you know, him. He because I left, because they were downsizing the federal government. It was crazy. Is the agency that I work for? We were saving lots of money, with our students. Some of the projects. I remember one project that one student, a group of students had, that the savings they had on the software, the millions of dollars they saved, would have funded the school that we had for probably 5 or 10 years. But we ended up going from around 50, over 50 staff members to it was dropping under 20. And this was during the Bill Clinton administration. So I decided that I could leave. I'm an IT professional. IT was booming, at that time. So I'm like, why not? Let me go ahead and leave. I'm sure I could get a job someplace else, and I saved the job of this guy, that I mentioned, which was pretty cool because he was from that area. And by the way, when they were during the Bill Clinton administration, when all this they used to tout the savings that they had within the federal government. They took it all out of the Department of Defense. So a lot of the agencies, their funding were going like this. The Department of Defense funding literally was going down in real dollars, not the government speak. And I should talk about that a little later on because there are some things that the government would do that just didn't make sense. All right, so now I'm gone I've got a job down in Florida. It's kind of a story about how I ended up down there, but I'm working for in IT as a at first I was on contract watching one stupid computer, but that's another story for another time. I ended up getting involved with a Respect Life ministry. I went to it was called a life issues workshop, and it went into the impact that the whole abortion industry had on women, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, this doesn't seem to be really good for women. And so I'm sitting there like, oh my goodness, birth control pills are bad for women. I kind of knew that, but I didn't care. My church taught that you shouldn't be involved with contraception, but I didn't understand their teaching. I said, what do these old white men know? They were against all these things. I mean, what's the problem? We don't want to have all these extra babies running around. So, and I grew up when, the sexual revolution first hit. So, I'm pushing against that. But at the end, there was this thing that they called it a, a, a ministry for men who have gotten their wife or girlfriend or wife and girlfriend, whatever, we didn't judge. They had this thing for men, and it's called Project Joseph. And I'm like, ugh, okay. Well, let me check this out, and especially since I found out it was by started by a Franciscan of Life, and I think I mentioned earlier in another video, I went to a Franciscan seminary, so I'm like, all right, let me check this out. So I ended up volunteering for Respect Life office and learned a whole lot there. Next video, we'll get much more detail about what I've learned of the abortion industry that really captured me and makes me really, really starts moving me away from who I thought were my friends, who I thought cared about me as a person, my race, and come to find out that I may have had the wool pull over my eyes. So much for today's Thoughts of a King.